And welcome once again to another fantastic episode of Constructing New Walden City. My name is Dr. Wasabi and we are in the southeast of the map, I believe. Never eat shredded wheat. Yes, we are in the southeast of the map where we are at the lovely GlowPop Factory. Now, you may remember this build a few episodes ago. This is one of my earlier builds in my series. It's a location that is near and dear to my heart, but it is, as always, constantly under construction, which is something I kind of want to change as we get later into the series itself. So, a few updates to this build. I've actually added a roof to the center portion of the kind of complex, if you will. I've added some lovely ventilation as well as these awesome spires which I've made out of granite walls, acacia fences and iron bars. So there we go. I've also added this awesome kind of roof access. I don't know what to call it. It's a very neat little storage thing that I will actually show you in a second, but the main area of this episode is taking place here, which, as you may notice, is a bit dark, it's a bit spooky, and it's a bit empty. It's a bit of a husk, if you don't mind me saying so. So this is where we're going to spend most of the episode. I'm going to do a bit of planning out off camera, so I'll see you in just a second. And I am back, folks, and one thing I have to say is that the primary theme of this episode may as well be potions of night vision, because I'm not sure if you noticed, but most of this episode is going to be pretty, well, shaded, to say the least. So, folks, I've managed to make a overall plan for this building, so I think without further ado, let's reveal it to you. There we go. That's much better. Look at that. I love potions of night visions. It's such a benefit to builders, especially when you have these huge, formidable buildings which you have to fill in interiors. It's a real pain sometimes, but I'm always glad to do it. So, what I've managed to build is this overall arching corridor, which kind of goes into a U shape. So it goes from the corridor down here. Now let me take a quick rundown. I managed to do all this off camera quite a while back, so this is more of the modern renovation of the factory itself. One thing I will note is these amazing cabinets with the glowberries. It is just, oh, mwah, fantastic. So, let us take a walk down. So, imagine you're a worker or an office worker at the factory, going down the corridor. You know, all the cupboards and bushes and carpets, things to sit down on, and you go into the main office building. So you may have a door here into some more offices, and this corridor which kind of winds its way, oh, excuse me, down the corridor here, along the side, and then up to the factory floor. Maybe you're a floor manager at the factory and you need to get there. So I always like to connect all of these places up, which is what is so fantastic about this factory, is that you can always get to any place through the many winding corridors in this building itself. Now, one thing I have actually realized is that the overall layout of this office is going to be quite strange, in that there isn't actually a corridor on the second floor for the office to go into. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to add a staircase either here or here in order to actually connect the two floors. I think I might make one here and then put a balcony here, and then obviously have a huge office space over here. I think I'm saying here way too many times for you folks. So I think without further ado, I think we'll get into a time lapse.
I can't lie. I really was running in the meadow, just you and me. It's already past dawn. Yes, I can see the perfect picture of what life should be.
Okay, we are back from our time lapse. Now let's see what we've done. So, like the wallpaper designs from the other sides of the GlowPop Factory, you know, sometimes we have the orange terracotta, sometimes we have the lime terracotta, but to fit in with the kind of GlowPop aesthetic, the glowberry aesthetic, we've chosen a nice yellow terracotta to use as our wallpaper for this part of the office. It's a block that we haven't really used in the factory before, which is kind of absurd, because one of the main kind of color variations of the glowberry is yellow, apart from orange and green and all of those other lovely colors. So we managed to build up the first floor. The second floor is something to be desired, but we will build that up as we go further into the episode. Now, one thing I need to do before we actually decorate this first floor is actually knock out some windows, because I noticed this. There's nothing on the other side of this wall. It's just open air. So I think it's best to get in some nice, lovely windows and let some lovely sunlight in. Okay, that is much better. Look at that. You know, a building always gets better when you add some windows. Now, of course, that isn't true for any building, but in this case, it helps a lot because it lets some sunlight in. And given the fact that this part of the factory was a literal dark husk, I think it's a big improvement. So let's just fill in these windows with the same kind of design we've made along the factory wall. So if you don't know what the window design is over here, it's literally just some lovely smooth sandstone and some white stained glass. So let's get this in here, like so. Ba, 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 ba. Just filling in these windows. Now, the nice thing about having these 2-block wide wallpapers is that you can always do these lovely indented windows, which I always appreciate. So it's filling in this like so. Oh, is this filled in? No, it isn't. Let's fill in this. Ba, ba, ba. Sandstone here, here, and here, and here. And some white stained glass over here. Now, if we do need to fill in any windows, I'll just do it off camera. I doubt you want to see me building windows for this entire building. So look at that, look at that. Absolutely fantastic. Now let's get a nighttime view, just so we can get a brief glimpse. So it's at midnight. Now look at that. I love the glow of buildings at night. It's such a pretty sight. So I think without further ado, let's get back into the interior. Okay, we are back inside the interior. So the first thing I've done is I put down this lovely cyan terracotta texture. Now this is very similar to the corridor out here because I want there to be some kind of overlapping design when it comes to this part of the factory. The only part which I haven't actually put in is the dead fire coral fans, which I've actually used as the carpet. It's a great design, but I think because of the corridor being a bit too tight, this is 4 blocks, that corridor is 5 blocks, it just doesn't fit correctly in my opinion. So I've decided just to go with the cyan terracotta. So the next step on this floor is actually to punch out some doors. So I think the first one will be here, here, and here. How's that look? Absolutely fantastic. So I want to close off this room in particular, because this is where the staircase is going to go, and I want there to be some kind of reward for exploring this part of the factory. So yeah, the next thing we need to do is actually get out some bushes, like we saw over here. Let me just fly around to see what the design was. 1 second, folks. Okay, so it was composters and oak leaves. So we should put a bush here, here, and here, just to finish off the look. How does that look? Lovely bit of green there, absolutely fantastic. The only thing we need to really add to this corridor, the only thing that's left, excuse me, is these wonderful little what are they called, like cupboards, shelving units, things like that. So we'll put one, of course, here. here, here, and here. How does that look? That looks good. That looks fantastic, actually. The only thing I would actually do is let's put some carpet down, like so. No, not orange. We don't want this too vibrant, do we? So light grey carpet, just to give it a bit of a surface texture. Nothing too fancy, of course. There we go. Honestly, it looks better already, folks. Just with a bit of, I wouldn't say clutter, but with a bit of just furniture and bushes and things like that. Already, this corridor is looking pretty swag. Okay, folks, so off camera, I was able to fill in this part of the room. Now, this is going to be the bottom floor of the offices. Obviously, we have the corridor here, and you just step through here into this wide office space. I may put a pillar in the middle here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but there is some kind of middle space that I want to take advantage of. Maybe for a nice, like, lighting design. You never know. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go around the corner to the actual other part of the room. Let me just move that sandstone stairs. So it's a bit dark over here, so let me get out my potion of night vision, like so. So you can already see we've started upgrading the actual floor. Now I think this is going to be a massive room in and of itself. I'm thinking something more high-tech in its design. Maybe that they've done some recent renovations. I think that's like the main theme over the factory, because it's got mixes of old styles and new styles, which I always like. So one thing we gotta do is actually find out where the staircase is gonna go. So I'm thinking either here or here. Let's see how that looks. So I'm just gonna get out some stone. Wait, no, polished andesite. Polished andesite. So just bring it up like so. I just gotta find out how high the staircase actually goes before. Okay, so that goes like that. It might be a bit too wide, so what I'm going to do is do it this way. Now, this should measure out. Let me just bring this up. Staircase making is so so awkward sometimes, honestly. So yeah, that's a lot more space. Yep, I like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to match up the floor, like so, with some smooth stone, just like so. Okay, lovely jubbly. So all we got to do now is get in some polished andesite stairs as the kind of lip over the balcony, and then fill this in with some yellow terracotta. Just like so. And then the final piece obviously can be reshaping the floor. Oh. Bit of a scary cave noise right there. There we go. You see, those will disappear when the interiors are filled out. I always find that when you have this big sulking interior, because it technically, sorry, is a big space, it kind of acts as a cave. So sometimes you'll hear like cave sounds in there, which is really creepy, but it's nothing to worry about. So yeah, that is a good staircase design. So what I'm going to do, folks, is I'm going to fill this out and give you a nice little time lapse of the, well, I would say a majority of the offices. So I think without further ado, let's get into it.
I can't lie. I really, really
Okay, folks, we are done with our, well, filling in the interior, not so much the decorations, but more the overall building. So, the first thing I want to show you is this not grand staircase, but very high-tech staircase. One thing I must point out is this beautiful chandelier. I'm always a big fan of the Fallout 4 chandeliers, especially in the high-tech interiors. They have this wonderful retro aesthetic, which I always try to capture when I'm doing these kind of interior designs. Now, believe it or not, this was one of the hardest rooms to actually light up. I think it's because of the overall size of the room. You just walk in and it was absolutely complete pitch black, even with the massive chandelier. So I had to do all sorts of wizardry to hide some lights. So we got some lights over here, lights under here, lights over here, and even some lights in this little fixture on the wall here. So there we go. If we walk up the stairs. Now, in the time-lapse, I actually had these two walls separated. However, I thought it would be a bit weird just to have a random corridor just arcing around the room for no purpose. So I actually knocked through this wall just so we could get a bit more space for some offices. Now, if we walk through here, we have another office space. This is where the more regular workers will stay. However, I do have plans to make some more premium manager offices in here, maybe for higher workers at the company, you know, maybe a floor manager or PR manager or some kind of higher position at the company. They'll have their own offices over here. So it's going pretty good, I reckon. We've also done a bit of decoration down over here, but obviously it was a bit of a preliminary, decoration. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this entire building, give it a lovely interior decoration, because that's all it needs to be doing at this point. We just need to put in some, well, for walls, for one, in this one, but for most of it, we just need to put in some chairs, some desks, some lovely decorations. So yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat you to a lovely cinematic experience. So enjoy. And we are back after that amazing cinematic experience. I do hope you liked it. It is always enjoyable for me to make these little cinematics just to show off what I've been building. But now comes the part where I tour the build. So, starting off, we go into the newly fashioned computer suite, which is where a lot more of the more high-tech computers are going to be. I kind of copied this design from downstairs. You may have noticed that earlier in our series I made a whole bank of these terminals downstairs in the factory wing, and I've just copied these along with some nice filing cabinets and things like that. To be fair, a computer suite doesn't need that much, because obviously it doesn't need any green in it, because it's been constantly cooled to keep the computers at minimum temperature, as well as a few other things. Now, I may have forgot to actually put some buttons in here, so 1 second, folks. There we go. We can actually escape the computer suite. So moving down the corridor, not much has changed. Now, if I do want to fill some of this corridor more in, I will in the future. It would probably be off camera. So, of course, as the cinematic shows off, we have this beautiful staircase with the carpet. I kind of didn't really show off the carpet, to be fair. It's a really nice design, more of a modernist interpretation of the kind of GlowPop glowberry color palette of the greens, the oranges, the yellows, and all of that good stuff. We also have these office desks, which I made out of smooth stone slabs, and use the oak buttons as the kind of drawers which you pull out to store stuff. Now, instead of using computers, I actually went into a different style of design. in which I made these wonderful typewriters using daylight sensors and oak trapdoors. And I think it makes such a stylistic difference, because usually the computer design I do is you put a staircase down and surround it with trapdoors, and it's very big and very bulky, as Fallout computers usually go. So I wanted to change that up a bit. I think it worked out really well. I really like the designs of these typewriters. And of course we go into here for the main office section. Now I just love this little Fallout television just hooked up to the wall. You know, maybe it's got the news on so the workers can see what's going on. And of course we have these wonderful offices. I did manage to actually punch out some windows after the cinematic experience was done, because I was thinking it isn't going to be very good for the workers if they were in these like big box cubicles without any natural sunlight. So I want to show this. 1 second. I punched out the windows here, and I realised this is going to be so depressing for this PR manager or whatever his station is. He looks out, and all he sees is just brick. Just brick, brick, and more brick. So I decided to actually put in a little greenery section outside the window. Maybe it was more of a part of the modern renovation, just to keep the workers' spirits up, at least in this section of the factory. So I thought that was a really nice touch. It just gives a bit more personality to the build, in my opinion. Now, of course, we leave that. We have a few more offices. These are more generic office types. You know, people have just been working here for quite a while. I might actually knock out a window for here in the future, but I'm not entirely sure. Oop. Oop, scary cave sound. So that has... Is there anything else I need to show you? Yes, there is. 1 second. Yeah, so I've filled down this part of the corridor with a nice little cushioned seating. So maybe you're waiting for an appointment with marketing. You sit down, you have a nice GlowPop, and you wait for them to greet you and lead you into their offices. And of course, you have the entrance to the factory floor. So that has been our episode for this episode of Constructing New Walden City. I believe it's episode 43. I can't believe we're at this point already. It always shocks me when I have to recount how many episodes we are in. So I want to thank you so much for watching this video. Of course, if you do like what we do, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. My name has been Dr. Wasabi. I wish you a most pleasant good evening. Of course, as always, God bless. And now, folks, it is time to say good night. We sincerely appreciate your viewing and hope we've succeeded in providing you with an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Stay happy and come back again soon. Good night.